Hey folks, how you doing? This is awesome to see. There's so many people out here. I love it. And I see some veterans here too, folks. Let's give a big round of applause for our veterans. And I wanted to come out today specifically because I knew today was Veterans Day. And one of my favorite things to do when I travel the state, travel the district, all 21 counties, and Iowa's third, is talk to our veterans. And I appreciate their service. And there's an important reason why. And I'll get to that in the course of my remarks, but this is just so important for us, for people who understand what it means to serve our country. And I have done that. I'm a combat veteran. I served in Iowa National Guard for 8 years, deployed to Afghanistan in 2004. I also served at the U.S. Department of Agriculture for 10 years, working with Secretary Tom Vilsack. But before I get any further, the most important thing is to introduce my daughter, Freya. She's up here with me. Can we wave hi? Just wave hi. You want to say hi?
Hi.
She's good at that. Folks, I'm an Iowan born and raised down in southeast Iowa. I can't say small town anymore because as I traveled the 3rd District, there's a lot of small towns. Mount Pleasant, right now, today is 9,000 people. It's the county seat. Growing up, it was about 6,000 or 7,000. But it was a small town to me and to a lot of other folks who live there. And that's a lifestyle you learn growing up in a rural community. I understand and I appreciate that. And that town to me is one of the reasons why I'm running today. And you all probably know this. But there was one governor in the entire country. His name was Bob Ray, Governor Bob Ray. You guys remember him? That's right. Governor Ray was a Republican. But he led with compassion and humanity. He didn't let politics get in the way of decisions. He actually did things that mattered to people. And those are the kind of principles and leadership that we can be proud of here in our country. And that's one of the reasons why I'm running today, to bring that back. And folks, as I've said, I've served this country. But there's a real big reason why I joined. And it was because of this legacy that Governor Ray had in Iowa. A legacy that we can be proud of in a time in our state when 3,000 Tidom refugees came. 2 different waves. One in 1975 and one in 1980 when my parents came. They're here today, joined with me. But it wasn't just the governor who spearheaded this process. Folks, it was a partnership. People from across the aisle, from across the state, families, church groups, community organizations, individuals, they were the ones that sponsored all of these Tidom refugees. They built communities with us. And when my parents got to Mount Pleasant, Iowa, just north of town, there was a first-generation immigrants themselves from Sweden. Vincent and Violet Lindeen, they sponsored my family. And they built a community with us. Swedish immigrants, lived in Swedesburg, Iowa, went to the Swedish Lutheran Church, so I went there too growing up, learned a lot about Swedish culture, learned a lot about wooden shoes, clogs, yep, straw horses, the traditions. And not only that, not only did we learn about Sweden and their culture, they learned about ours. And so looking through all the family photos just recently, there's all these pictures of us having our own Tidom cultural events and traditions. And then there's a bunch of Swedish people in the pictures too. It's really quite amazing. But we felt that community growing up. We truly did. They embraced us. And because of that, I felt that so deeply. I felt compelled. I wanted to give back. I wanted to protect this country. And so at 17 years old, I didn't even think about it. I had just wanted to serve our country, and I brought an Army recruiter home, Army National Guard recruiter home. I didn't even tell my mom and dad. After school one day, I was a junior in high school, brought this guy home. Mom wasn't happy, and actually we just talked about this story a couple weeks ago. She reminded me how long she argued with him before they agreed to co-sign my papers. I wasn't 18, but they knew why I wanted to join. because giving back to this country means something. So at 17, I enlisted. And for 8 years, I served in the Iowa Army National Guard. That's right. And in 2004, the day that my mom and dad worried what happened, it came. My unit was deployed to Afghanistan. I was a combat engineer. And if you can imagine, a group of folks from Southeast Asia, these tie-down people and many others, who risked their lives to escape from that war in Vietnam, to eventually come to this country, and for their son to serve in the military. They were terrified for what that would mean if he ever went to war. But I knew it was my time to go, and I did. And I learned a really important lesson on that trip. I learned a lesson about what it means to serve. And it was 2004, right after the Iowa caucuses. And my battle buddies, they all knew I was a Democrat. That's okay. We were down in Fort Cavazos, Texas, mobilizing, training every night. In the barracks, they would tease me about my politics. I'd stand my ground, I'd defend my positions. But at the end of the day, when we were in the field, our politics didn't matter. We didn't judge each other on our politics, we judged each other on our character. That's what matters. And to this day, I have their back and they still have mine. And they know that. And so I served. And when I came back home, I had a chance to serve again. I went on to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. I worked for Secretary Tom Vilsack, former governor of Iowa. And across 2 administrations, I served the USDA for 10 years, most recently as the Deputy Chief of Staff at the department. I've had an opportunity to work very closely with our farmers, our ranchers, and to deploy rural economic development programs across our country. I understand and appreciate and know what life is like here in Iowa, and I will do everything I can to make sure we keep it strong. And so, folks, I've got a history of service. I've dedicated my life to giving back to this country. And when it came time to jump into this race, it became clear to me what was important. My daughter right here is important. You all can sense and feel lately, at times our country feels like our democracy is on the line. Our freedoms are on the line, and we know that. We see that here in Iowa with a near total abortion ban that went into effect. My opponent, who supported a near identical bill when he was in the state Senate, raised his hand in a debate to say national abortion ban without exceptions, even in the case of rape, incest, or life of the woman. These are extreme positions that Iowans don't support. Iowans are not there. People want to have their rights back. People know when their freedoms are being taken away. And that's what's happening right here in this state right now. But we're going to change that. We're going to focus on the things that people talk about. And I've been to every single county in this district. I've talked to Iowans. I've talked to voters. And the things that they care about are things that we can fix. They want to make sure there's an ability for them to be able to raise their families in their communities. The number one issue I hear about when I'm traveling, they're worried about their schools, their public schools. We got to keep those public schools strong, folks. People want the ability to buy homes. They want to have a chance to be able to retire with dignity. So we got to stop the effort to raise the Social Security retirement age. We've got to keep that at 67. There are efforts right now by Zach Nunn and budgets he's proposed to raise it to 70. I can't even imagine my mom and dad, who worked at a factory in Mount Pleasant for 25 years each. Hard work, y'all. My mom, short little Asian lady. That's her right there. I mean, think about this. Sitting on a factory floor, standing there all day, packing boxes with envelopes, stacking these 40-pound boxes on pallets until they were taller than her. If she had to do that for 3 more years before she could retire, I don't know where her health would be today. And that is a tough thing to swallow. And that's why it's important for us to make sure that people who earn their benefits get them when they deserve them. And in this race, there are so many issues that I can go into, but I'll save you because I've got 10 minutes left according to this sign. But folks, I love this country. I truly do. I'm going to leave you with this. And for all the veterans who are standing here, for any person who has served our country in any capacity, for anyone who has raised their right hand, who has taken an oath of office, we all know this. You don't raise your hand to take an oath to a party. You don't raise your hand to take an oath to a person. You raise your hand and you take an oath to defend the Constitution and our country. That is why I am running for Congress. That is the approach that I'm taking today, and that's what we're going to bring back to our country when we win in November. Thank you so much.
Thank you.